to do a little bit of a different introduction as usual. So I was wondering if all of our lovely co-hosts and I'm sorry, Maximilian is actually also supposed to be co-host, but speaker for now. Um, would you mind introducing yourself, or Hafid's case, your company and yourself, if you want, in the format of three positive adjectives? I know. I dropped the mic. Okay, Maximilian feels excited, so let's have Maximilian start. Who are you
Well,
in
can
three
we have another
adjectives?
song? Can we have another song so we can think about this? Like.
Or an example. Maybe Stella should go first.
Yeah,
It was her
give me a
idea.
second to scramble my words together. I mean, dang, sis.
What? Are you serious? Have you been using ChatGPT so much that you can't do that anymore?
No, but I am.
Do you
on the
even
West
remember
Coast.
what adjectives are?
But I'm on the West Coast and I'm not even halfway through my first cup of tea.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Oh, everyone
I
is
can now define adjective for us all.
I was just trying to stall to give everybody more
naming...
time. Don't worry.
So adjective, a word or phrase naming an attribute added to or grammatically related to a noun to modify or describe it.
Yeah, just a describing word. Three positive self-describing words. And you can add your profession if you want.
Okay, so am I still first? Because it's pretty quiet.
Yeah. You're still first.
We're thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying. Okay. 3 words, 3 adjectives to describe myself. Okay, I'm going to go with rebellious, innovative,
I like that.
and irresistible. Yeah.
Love that. Totally love that. That's awesome. What is your profession for those of in the spaces who might not know, but I think everyone knows, but just to state it once more. What would you say is your profession?
Innovator. I'm an irresistible innovator. A digital creator.
Okay. Yeah,
I know it's hard to
Okay.
describe, but I just say that since it's everything. It includes everything, digital music, everything.
Perfect. Okay, Hafid, you're up. You're up, dude.
Oh yeah, Maximilian already got 2 of the ones that I was gonna use. So definitely, well, for 0-10, innovative, or how you guys pronounce it in Europe, innovative. Definitely breaking the grounds. Rebellious as well. You know, we're all against the old ways, the traditional ways. We respect them, we honor them, but we're trying to be innovative, be rebellious about them. And then the last one would be passionate. I am glad and I'm so happy to be working with like such a passionate community of creators, with the team of 0-10. They're creators as well, and I get to work with them every day, and yeah, it's a dream come true. My position, I am the community manager. So for 0-10, I am their community manager. You guys want to hear how I got the job, or is that not?
Oh, you want to tell us? Okay, I'm all for it. Tell us, how did you get the job?
So actually, it was last Digital Fashion Week, like back in September. I went to Digital Fashion Week. 0-10 had a collaboration with Crosby Studios, so they had a pop-up display in New York. And then so I went there because I was excited about their technology, and they were going to be in the US, and I needed to do research. So I am my new title for my job and the things that I do. I am a full stack freelancer. I heard it in a podcast. I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. But basically, it's like a generalist, right? But like a cool, more professional title is a full stack freelancer, similar to full stack developer, that they do like back and front end, and they do a lot of things. Same thing with me with 3D. I'm a generalist, all that kind of stuff. So I went to go see 0-10. Um, I brought like my passion about it. I was asking questions. I met Anton, the 3D lead, and yeah, we got a good connection with them. And eventually they came to me. They actually came to me asking if I knew anybody that would be interested, and I was gonna post the job for you guys. And I think I told a couple of you, but then they told me, well, actually, we want you to come and work that position for us. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I mean, I'm used to working by myself, but like I met them, and it just made like it's such a unique position because I know you guys, and they needed somebody that knows 3D but also knows the community. So yeah, that's how I got there. Long story short, thank you.
This is awesome. Thank you for sharing this with us, because I think that's one of the questions I hear a lot from younger people, is like, or people who are just starting out, like, how do I actually get a foot into this industry, right? So thank you for sharing that. Although you totally exceeded the limited amount of 3 adjectives, but that's fine. Okay. Kalau, you want to go next?
I think our adjectives are all the same. They're just like different ways of saying it. So maybe that's why we're friends. But let's see. So I had a little more time, so I gotta think about it. I would say inquisitive, but then that would also go with like Maximilian's innovative and things. So same family, I'd say. Empowered, I guess, by my inquisitivity. And then I'd say my last one, which I think I've always felt, but am more recently discovering, is that I'm motivated by inclusivity. And I'm just super passionate about like making people feel like they have a place where they belong, where they can be creative, where they can share their story. And yeah, I didn't know that really about myself until I kind of just saw what I did naturally. So yeah, I'd say those are my 3.
Very good. I'm so proud of the 3 of you. I know that was a hard one. Also, Lauren or Kalau, I wanted to say, we all know you're also the founder of Alter Age, but also recently you've been pivoting a little bit. So, what would you say is your current, let's say, profession aside from running Alter Age?
Man, it's a good question. I like caffeine, so I gotta go to more spaces so I can get a more condensed title, like full stack freelancer. It's nice. I think, yeah, like, so, right, learning as a founder, and I've been getting a lot of inquiries about how do I start my own project? How do I, right, like break into this space that's still very new and I think quite confusing? And kind of something I do that I also enjoy is like kind of breaking things down into systems. And so it's kind of a form of like systematic design thinking, but within like this Web3 fashion space. So I think I'm kind of a combination of like design and creative consulting. So kind of focused right on like building your project, whether it is you're a brand, you're a new founder, you're not in fashion and you want to join it. Um, yeah, I think it's really helping those people, guide them to find a project that's authentic and also related to a cause. It took me a while to kind of find what is my cause, like what is my motivation for creating, for kind of doing all that, and that kind of relates to that inclusivity part. But I like the idea of helping people find their cause, whether it's environmental, it's some kind of topic under the sustainable development goals, and then relate that to their creativity and the project. So I don't have a fancy word yet, but I'll get one, I'm sure.
I know you're the master of making words up, so you will definitely get there. Okay, let's get started with the spaces. Also, I'm seeing the spaces has been filling quite a bit. Thank you all for joining. Today, our topic at Fashion Fridays is all about the AR revolution. And I think a lot of us are actually quite busy doing their own AR experiences. And I'm sure many of us have tried different ways of doing it. But also, we probably all had a very similar experience than the one I had, which is full body tracking. We would want to go to 010 app. So hence the first question goes to 010 app. And it's actually a hard one. I hope you don't mind, Hafid. Now you have to sweat. No, I'll make you sweat. As a technology provider, where do lie your biggest challenges in creating AR services for your audience and implementing them? So do you know of, I just let it stand there. And have you interpreted it?
I might need you to ask me that question again.
Yeah, I'm wondering, the service you're providing, and Zero Ten app has probably multiple layers of services because you guys are also helping creators to translate their projects into AR. Where do you think is the biggest challenge in doing that? Is it, is it with the files that come? Is it with developing the app further just by itself, or where do you think Zero Ten app faces most of its challenges right now?
Yeah, so I mean, all of those from working with the creators because we have such a specific pipeline, right? It's not just getting, well, hopefully in the future we're gonna have this magic button that you get your, high quality file from Clo or any 3D program that has like a model of a garment into AR, right? Like just like an AR converter is what we're looking for in the future. Just push the button, it's optimized, it's rigged, you can put it in the app. So that is one of the biggest challenges. Another one is, well, the technology itself. Like we have to make this from scratch, and I mean we're proud of it because it was needed. Like for us to have this like such accurate body tracking and claw simulation and everything that you see in the app today, yeah, we need to make it from scratch because you have to build that technology, and we have to make it specific for this industry. And it's a challenge, right? People have to make this. Obviously now that nowadays we're using new technologies like AI to help us, and machine learning to help us get the body tracking specifically for people. Um, yeah, so that's another challenge. We're still working on it. We have our own engine, so we have to build all of those tools that probably they come by default in other programs. But yeah, I mean, I can see the behind the scenes on the 3D team, on the developer team. They're doing some amazing work, guys. Like a lot of cool stuff is coming, but yeah, they're still struggling, right? And then the technology. So we kind of rely on iPhones, right? Apple's technology, but we are looking for ways to make this available for a lot more devices. So I would say that those three, the pipeline, our tech and the hardware. So we don't develop our own hardware, only the software.
That's actually a very awesome answer. Thank you, Hafid. Okay, moving on, because I have a lot of questions prepared. Lauren knows this. Maximilian, how has AR technology influenced your design process? I'm curious because we all know you're an innovator. You're quite open-minded to trying out a lot of new tools. But in comparison to how it was before, how does it feel now? Or what has changed, maybe? Can you give us an insider view?
Oh, yes. So, using AR technology, things are much more exciting. So, in addition to doing digital fashion designs and making music and films, I also am a 2D artist. And so AR has really given me so many new ideas about how I'm looking at my two-dimensional designs because now I can bring them all to life, which I love. Because, if you've heard me talk before, even like a year and a half ago when I was doing these beautiful works called Star Portals, and they're classical music compositions, and the visuals start with a starry night sky, and then I animate it to make the stars move with the music. And so this is like something that I thought was like so amazing. And I've been trying to find new ways to incorporate this series of star portals because it really makes like interesting backgrounds and all these things. And so augmented reality has been like a really wonderful way for me to re-explore some of the works that I've made, and even like actually using some of previous works to create collages of works because AR brings them to life. Another thing that is really fantastic is AR is bringing to life physical artwork as well. So one of my favorite, just to give you an idea, and I'm sure when I say this, people will get ideas too, maybe if they haven't thought of it already, but I have this aunt who I absolutely adore, and she has an entire collection, a lifetime of cross-stitching artwork. Now, my aunt lives very far away. She lives in Alaska, and I went to go visit her some long time ago, and I knew it was probably likely maybe the last time I was going to get to see her because, like I say, it's quite far away, and she's getting a bit long in the tooth yet. So anyway, so she said that I can take as many of her artworks home with me as I wanted. So I tried not to be greedy because she also has 3 daughters, but I took a whole bunch of all my favorite cross stitches of hers. And I just knew that I wanted them because they're hers. And I also knew that I wanted somehow for it to be a collaboration. But at the time, I didn't know how. But now I'm doing a collaboration with all of her cross stitches. I'm adding augmented reality. So when you come into the home, it's going to look like, a cute lady's cross stitching. But when you pull out your phone, it's going to be like, whoa, a whole nother story. And I love this. So, I mean, and also with digital fashion, it's helping as well. Like I've been thinking a lot about the things that we talk about in digital fashion that are meaningful, like the story behind fashion. But when we look at augmented reality, we can tell a story about the material, where it came from. All of these things can show when we look at even the still image of the fashion with the augmented reality. So, in addition to actual fashion and jewelry pieces that I'm creating, I'm really so super excited about the things I'm bringing to life. And the last thing I'll have to say, because it would be rude of me to leave it out, because it's my most favorite thing. I'm really starting to play a lot with gorilla augmented reality, which is where I take something that everyone has access to, like a Kellogg's Frosted Flakes box, and I can do an augmented reality. So anyone at any grocery store, anywhere all over the world, could look at a Frosted Flakes box. And if it's the same image, they could see my artwork. Boom.
Cool.
Whoa.
That's awesome. Yeah. Actually, Lauren.
It's like graffiti. It's like invisible graffiti, if you think about it.
No, you're right. I think Lauren opened her mic because that must be. Say something. I know this is exciting to you.
Say something. I just Googled it also. And apparently, internet artists invaded the MoMA with a gorilla augmented reality exhibit. So it's maybe the same idea. Like this group took over a Pollock room without permission, and they put like all these. I'll have to figure out if I can tweet this, but like corrupted image detected, like all these things over this art. It's like total AR meets Banksy. Man, I love that idea. I think we're aligned with this rebellious thing. I'll try to pin it so you guys can see.
Yes, let's do it.
You guys, seriously. No, this is awesome. Also, that you gave a direct example, because that was my next question. Like, how has it influenced your design process? Because I also feel that thinking in AR is definitely different than thinking in, for example, game output, or thinking in moving from digital to physical fashion, right? All of these things, they require a different process, essentially, to turn out really good and hopefully attractive to people. This is all we care for, don't we? Lauren, this brings me to you. I want to ask you, how do you think AR technology can help build stronger connections with customers and enhance brand loyalty? Since you're pivoting into consulting, I figured a question like this would be totally up your alley.
Okay, how can brands use AR to increase customer loyalty? It was the question.
Yeah, how do you think AR technology can help build stronger connections with customers and enhance brand loyalty?
Yeah, I guess a big strength, right, of AR is the experience, right? Like the example that Maximilian just gave, and also I put the example on the thread. I will try to pin it, but I'm not very good at multitasking. But yeah, I think it really comes down to what experience do you want your existing user, community, client, like whatever we call it these days, to have, and how does that help to kind of like build awareness around your product or awareness around your story. I recently spoke with, and I have to get I'll also tweet this, a company that makes experiences with AR around like music. And so it's these very interactive experiences that translate like the album artwork into an experience. And so I think it just makes a really good connection at the time of a launch to give this like activation or interaction around a product. And I think, right, like we still like in the digital space are really into like fashion shows. It's like an event that allows you to use the product, come around to kind of celebrate this launch. And so I think, yeah, like AR can really be a celebration of the release of your idea, whether it's a product or a song or kind of anything like that. And so it can, right, you can have a lot of different possibilities, but like your example, right, which you've just launched with like 010, like you have minted your collection of looks that you have like a really creative storyline around, and then you've kind of amplified the utility by bringing it to 010. And yeah, I guess I don't know if that's a very specific answer, but I think AR unlocks really interesting experiences around products and community. I think it's the bridge kind of between those things.
I think that's actually a good point. It is a bridge, right? We are always talking about phygital, but in the end, those technologies, they are the true bridge in the end, right? We said this yesterday actually in a 010 app space as we discussed this, that a lot of times, we tell our family members and friends, we're telling them, oh yeah, we're doing digital fashion, and they look at us like, what's that? Already the black sheep of the family, right? What are you talking about? Digital fashion? Who needs digital fashion? What even is that, right? And then until you actually put the phone with the open app and an open piece of clothing into their hands and show them on a moving screen on a video how it tracks to a body, they're like, oh, that's actually pretty interesting. Is this how you really change people's minds and how you shift them, right? And this is when you can truly start talking about digital fashion, because then it becomes more tangible to them. If it's just like, some kids putting on different skins in Roblox, right? That's not necessarily where grown-ups turn around and they're like, oh, this is so cool, I want to have a Roblox skin. It's just not how the world works right now. But I think that will be also very different in 10 years, 15 years from now. Anyhow, point is, I guess, that I thought your answer was very valid. Emily, I have a question for everyone. How do you envision AR technology impacting the future of fashion shows, events, and industry gatherings? So we all know this is gonna influence all of these different things, right? But if you were to envision freely on how, from your personal, point of view, as Lauren maybe as a consultant right now, on her way to pivot to that, right? Maximilian as an innovator and creator, and 010 app as a technology provider. How do you envision future events and fashion shows to go with AR technology? I'm very curious. Yes, go ahead, Maximilian.
Thank you. Well, first of all, everyone's going to be naked. No. But I do imagine everybody being naked. In fact, if it was my show, and maybe it will be, I saw these suits. They make you look like you're naked. They even have like the little nipples painted on and things like this, and they're like nudity suits. They're really adorable. And so I think it would be hilarious, and probably I'll end up doing this at some point. But I think that that's going to be the new outfit for all the fashion shows, for the virtual reality, because that way, if it's bikinis or like whatever, it can still happen. And I think that the whole like drama and the whole performances of going to live shows, like my favorite fashion shows, they're always like there's a story, there's lighting, it's music, sometimes there's thunder and flower petals falling from the sky, like all of the drama that designers already create with their shows. I think it's going to be like 400x with augmented reality. And especially I'm looking forward to seeing like other ways that we add technology to the whole space. I think that's going to be a thing as well. And like I'm considering as well, like augmented reality stacks. That's actually I'm already thinking about like augmented reality stacks. I'm really looking forward to seeing how we combine these different technologies, even the same technologies. For example, maybe creating augmented reality on still things, and then also on people. Just I don't know, but this is what I'm thinking about, is the stacking. I think that's going to be a really big thing, and also maybe more hardware to help us experience the augmented reality. Like, I think the biggest change is going to be I imagine that some more devices are going to come, or some new utilities or something that we can use this with, because it seems like right now we can mostly only experience augmented reality using our personal mobile devices. So I'm really looking for, something that projects it big, or some other type of experience that allows us to share it in like a more public way. But this is what I'm thinking, is that these are my thoughts about how it's going to affect the shows in the future. It's going to be a lot more dramatic, and with the advent of more hardware, or just availability to do stacking, I think it's going to be really, really exciting.
I really do love this answer. Quick anecdote on the side. Do you remember the face that I think Kendall Jenner made when she realized at the Schiaparelli show that she was wearing the same Lion King dress than one of the models, I believe?
No.
No, you didn't get
Oh
to
my
see this
gosh.
picture. So this was,
Somebody.
this is like one of these awkward moments, right, where you think you're wearing something super special that you were gifted personally from a designer, and then it turns out you just weren't that special. So I was just imagining, right, if there would be a fashion show where everyone was wearing your, like, what was it, nipple suits?
My nudity suit.
Your
Like nipple
nudity
suit.
suit. I'm sorry. I'm
nudity
pretty
suit.
sure they're gonna censor this Spaces recordings. So
Maybe they'll
if
promote it.
yeah, if everyone in the audience would be like mandatorily, essentially, wearing the same suit, right? And then only if you could, or even if the models were all wearing the same suit and you couldn't even see it without using 010 app, for example, that would be pretty amazing. But okay, I will stop, because actually the question was for everyone. Now I'm answering the question. I should stop. Hafid,
Well, you should
go.
answer it too.
Go. Go. Hafid, take it from me. Do it now.
Go for it, Kala. We're going in order. Come on, come on.
Oh, I thought you said Hafid. Okay. Yeah, Maximilian, you broke it down very nicely. I like when you make like 3 points. It's very clear. I understand. It's great. Like, I agree with you, right, on the hardware. Um, I think on Netflix there's this movie called like Anon or something, and it's really the future of AR. They have these like contacts. You're like walking in the street. You're like picking like what billboard you want advertised to you. All these like notifications show up in your contacts. So I think like that's a kind of scary version, but probably maybe where it will go when we have very futuristic hardware. And I think there's also, right, this big change somewhat from something that's being shown to you and you buy it, to something that you help to create or customize, and then you might have more incentive like to buy it and you have more of a connection to it. So like this idea of customization. So like traditional shows have always been like very much, this is the designer presenting to the world, and I hope that it just becomes like more interactive. Like, so I can give some examples. Like, so for Entourage, we did this AR exhibit in London last year with ArtSect, and we had like different ways that you could try on the filters, and you still needed to have like Snapchat on the phone, so it wasn't super seamless, but it was still a lot more interactive versus just kind of presenting something. But I think it will be kind of just a hybrid of that. And what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, another example. Because if anyone has been to kind of like these NFT conferences, there's always like at the end like a big party, or like these like you think you see all these like professional people go like party. And there was like a concert with these like very scantily dressed girls, and so I put the filters on them, and so I was, yeah, like clothing them, and that was kind of fun. So, and interactive.
Oh my god.
And then also, do you remember? You were with me.
This was the Marshmallow concert that we,
Yes.
for some reason, hopped in on. It was crazy. And yeah, and you're right. They had, I think, some body paint on, right, while dancing on the stage. But then Lauren was like, we gotta dress them. And she pulled out the application and started putting on her like the entourage outfits on it. It was a pretty fun experience, honestly. Yeah, true. Okay, thank you for answering this in such a good way. Hafid, you want to go next?
Yes, but before this, I would like to call a request to change the name of what we're doing. Like, I don't want to call them filters anymore. I feel because we started with filters, but can we change it to, I don't know, wearables or like digital things? Come on, like help me think of names, because filters.
Okay.
When people think of
Should we
filters, they're
ask
like,
ChatGPT for better titles? I can do this
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Let's do it. Whatever it takes, whatever it takes. But because like people hear filters and they're like, oh, it's just like a Snapchat dog with the tongue. I'm like, no, no, no. Listen, listen. This is augmented reality. This is something. Oh, she is typing.
It's me. I'm doing it.
Thank
Oh man, ChatGPT says it's busy right now for me.
you. But it's,
Oh
Yeah,
my
I understand
gosh,
what you
how
mean.
dare
Hafid.
ChatGPT give you a busy signal? Don't they
I
have
know.
call
I don't have
waiting?
like super subscription, so but yeah, like Hafid, it's kind of like right because you want to treat it like it's art, but it's not just art. It's wearable art, and it's beyond just like a googly eye filter on Instagram. Okay, I'll keep thinking.
yeah, I mean, we're building like more on top of it, so it's about time that we change it. We don't have to do it in the space. We can leave it as homework for the week. But in the meantime, well, the future of fashion shows definitely, like Maximilian said, like a combination of technologies. So we did train our models, and they work best like with better lighting, right? So we can do good so far with low lighting, but it's still a challenge, right? Especially like in concerts, like a lot of concerts that have like weird lights happening all over the place. So maybe if we had like a connection with hardware, with like a suit, or I know like some companies are developing like really small motion trackers. So if we can have that tracking made through the hardware instead of the software, that can help us a lot in those situations where yeah, like there's low lighting, maybe the garment that I know IC Studios just did like a presentation on the streets, and it was cold outside, so people have jackets. So if they're trying to wear something that's tight, it's not gonna be like the great experience for them. But maybe the motion tracker can help us a lot more in that if it's built into the fabric. So a lot of these like new technologies might have to happen in order for us to get that. Mm, a combination of that, and yeah, so we are building towards Apple making their AR glasses. They just delayed it till next year, but we have that in mind because we acknowledge that this is a great technology, and augmented reality is I don't think it's meant for us to be holding our phones everywhere. Like we have to wear it on our eyes, whether through glasses at the beginning and then contact lenses. And then I don't know, in 50 years we gotta change our whole eyes to like a cyborg eye. And then we're gonna need like a big
Implants.
interface. Yeah. So it's never gonna stop. But for right now, we are a good time. We get to experience this, but definitely a lot of things need to happen for us to get there.
Oh, that makes me think of a question. Why did the first like version of the glasses fail? Like it's always like a combination. You can have the best technology, but if you don't have the right time, yeah, tell me, Maximilian.
Well, which glasses are you talking about? Because I was thinking of Google Glass. Like because
Yeah,
I
that
was
one.
okay. So I was really surprised. I don't think it actually failed. I think that they took back their product to release it another time, and I think maybe they found like a huge government that wanted to buy like all of them and use them for some nefarious purpose. So like the public couldn't have them. There was some reason they found some other better, more lucrative thing to do with those goggles. I know they did because during the time when those glasses came out, I was actually at YouTube Studios every day because that, in my previous chapter of my life, I spent a lot of time there. And the glasses were all around the studio, and everybody loved them, and they were only like $300. So I feel like they did everything right. They looked good, they felt good, they were cool, they were somewhat affordable for some people. But then all of a sudden it was just like gone and it was like hush hush. So I really and we were all asking and we were there at YouTube Studios asking and we couldn't get any answers. So that's why I think they made some kind of decision, like maybe they were like, hey, this is too good for the public. Only the government can have these, or something. Maybe 20 years from now, we'll find out what happened to Google Glass. But there was just no explanation that we were given, and we did ask, and we were right there, asking the executives who supposedly are dialed in, and we couldn't find out nothing.
Ooh, I knew you'd have the dirt. Nice.
She hacked her way into the servers of. No, just kidding. She didn't. You didn't, right? A question on that note. I think it could also be just maybe a more simple answer, because if we think about, the first virtual reality glasses when they came out, right? You needed to connect them by all means to a computer. Otherwise, you wouldn't even, there was nothing on it. It was just a hardware, right, to enter, but it was not necessarily the hardware to play your video game with. But then, the Quest 2 came out, and with the Quest 2, you have everything already there, unless you want to, of course, this is an ecosystem problem, unless you want to enter also other games that are not necessarily provided by our friend Meta. So yeah, Maximilian, go.
So ChatGPT and I were talking, and we came up with a few ideas, potential names. Do you want to hear them?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Go.
Okay, now you have to use your imagination to imagine the spelling. Fash Zen. Get it? Fashion, Fash Zen. Capital F, capital Z, that's one. Mirror, not mirror, mirror fashion. Okay. Also, you don't like mirror. Okay. Real runway, dreamweave, style elevate. All these words are like two words pushed together with a capitalized second word. Trend transform, vision vogue, imagining. Get it? Imagining, but it's imagining. And the last one, Dreamcatcher's fashion. Dreamcatcher fashion. I'm gonna tell it to try again.
No, but see, there's all the difference. I also asked my other friend, ChatGPT, and you know what? He came up with only camera effects as a suitable replacement for AR filters. Okay, you don't like AR filters, fine, then go with camera effects. I'm like, no, I don't like camera effects.
I use my real brain. I have two pragmatic options for you.
Okay, go for that.
I would say, just going with Hafid's wearable, interactive wearables or on reality wearables. That's my contribution.
I'm voting for those. I'm in favor of those.
Yeah, on reality sounds close.
Real brain still is best sauce.
ChatGPT yet to be confronted.
Okay, I have a little bit better. I went back in and I gave a little bit more information. I got some better answers this time. By the way, I like those ones that you came up with. So how about this? Vanity 360. Or this is my favorite one, Dreamwear. Dreamwear?
Yeah, that's a nice one. But also,
Right,
it cannot replace the filters, right?
What do you mean? Well, I thought
because technically speaking, AR filters can cover more than just wearables. That's actually the problem with all of your solutions. Just saying.
What?
I think you're making a category.
What about
for
hot
that.
look? HAUTELOOK. Hot look.
Wait.
Sounds like very
2000. We go there again. Like whenever you're on Maximilian, we're talking hot or nudity suits or what the. You're gonna censor my full space at this rate.
Hey, it's HAUTE.
I'm just messing with you. This is good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, wait. Actually, let me go to my question catalog, my secret question catalog. 010 app, Hafid. Can you give us an outlook? No, well, we already kind of did this, but can you be a little bit more precise what we can expect this year from 010 app? Can you spill something?
Yeah, I got a couple of alphas. We kind of shared them a bit yesterday. So we are building a web-based platform. So right now, the only way that you can submit your items, so you submit them to us. You can either submit the high poly, and then our 3D team is going to optimize them for AR, or you can do the optimization yourself. You still have to send it to us because we still have to do the rigging, the weight mapping, and then we put it on the app. But obviously, our goal is to give you all of this power. we kind of like took it slow because we understand that it's like a long pipeline, or not everybody's gonna get it, and we want you to, we want you to display your work at the best of you can. So we took it slow so we can teach you this pipeline. A lot more people can get familiar with it. So once we release this web-based app, it's similar to Spark, Lens, Effect House. You're gonna have the full control. So we're gonna add a lot of dedicated features for AR clothing. So like shaders and, well, yeah, just like cool materials, uh, like shaders that you're gonna be able to like transform and do like vertex displacement and cool special effects, all that good stuff. Like I told you guys, I can see the dev team working on some like really dedicated like tools for creators that for your garments. They're going to be really helpful. So all of that is coming. Again, web-based, I'm going to keep saying web-based is really important because I think that's the future. So you're going to be able to run this everywhere, right? On any device you can connect to the internet. So this is going to make it way more accessible. We can't do much yet about, you still have to design it on a computer, but that's another thing that we're building, a custom shop. So have some way of like having templates or like base models that they're gonna be eventually implemented into the app, where you can sort of design the garment in there as well, in a way, not like with the full software like Marvelous and Clo and Browseware, but we're gonna find a way to make it easier for everybody, not just people that know how to design garments in those programs. Definitely monetization is coming. We hear you guys. We know that this is important for the community, for the creators. So monetization is on the way. And what else? A lot more collaboration. So definitely, we encourage like big brands, and they acknowledge us. So collaborations with them are coming, but we're reaching out with more creators, with more people in the space, new creators that want to get into it, all ones that they want to start getting into AR, that they're ready to take it to the next level. They tried other technologies, but now they're like, no, 010 is the only way. So looking forward to more collaborations with new people. So reach out to me, reach out to the team. What else that we're working on? Yeah, just like the tools. Again, we're making like a custom engine, custom tools. So whatever you guys need, any features, special features, let us know. But I can tell you that a lot of tools are being built for this app. I think that's it. If I think of anything else, I'll let you know.
This is amazing. I knew you guys were up to a lot of things, but this is it's a busy year for you guys, and yeah, I don't think it will be in vain, because we can see all over social media big companies starting to implement all of these tools and trying to take a first first little scary step towards all of it, be it metaverse, be it AR technology, be like, yeah, well, all of these different tools, which actually brings me to Lauren. Are you ready? She's like, oh my God, what's now? No, I have a question that's actually for all of you, but I know Kalau, from her personal background, might feel very strongly about this question. How do you think AR technology will impact sustainability and ethical concerns in the fashion industry?
Yeah, it's a good question. Because right now, sustainability in fashion, right, is like comes down to a pretty physical set of like, right, rules and processes. So to make a product more sustainable, it's highly dependent on the materials, and how something, right, is sourced, constructed. So that, right, is like kind of a big thing for fashion, and what has been making it so polluting, just because there's not a lot of maybe change in the holistic process of creating a product. But I mean, right, there's like a lot of, I mean, still things happening in the space. So I guess then the question is, how do you use AR to improve that process? I mean, you can go super technical and, right, like say you're sewing something and then you use AR in a way that makes that more streamlined, or in like a factory setting, I'm sure there's like different ways that you can like make it more efficient and therefore have lower cost, but still be able to do something in the proper way, whether it's like on demand manufacturing, or just kind of avoiding waste. So I think you could use AR in that way, kind of like how robotics and things have been used to develop garments and products. And then I'd say, on the other hand, on like the more consumer side, it would be, how do you train people to be kind of aware of their consumption? So like we've done like different filters, and it was definitely like the more creative, or sorry, they're going to be called on reality wearables. They're no longer filters. um and it was definitely like the more storytelling aspect. So like for a year we were talking about e-waste, and so how do you take like this kind of raw material and tell a new story with it? So we did like a lot of dripping gold kind of interpretation, but it was a lot more about storytelling, and how do you, yeah, encourage people to like be aware of their consumption, and then kind of complete this circular life cycle for their product, whether it is reselling it or repairing it, or recycling it back into like kind of its original element. So I think there's two ways. Like it's either with the direct production of a physical thing, or it's more on like the interactive storytelling side of changing how we perceive consumption, I would say.
Awesome answer. Maximilian, I'm not sure, but I don't think you come from physical fashion. Do you still have an opinion on that matter? I might be mistaken, though. Hopefully, you're not going to kill me now.
No, I mean, so my first job ever was modeling, and I was walking the catwalk, and I was about 3 years old. So I feel like I come from fashion. And ever since I was very little, but old enough to hold a pencil, I've always been drawing my designs, high-heeled shoes, dresses, all these things. When I got older, then I was obsessed with, like Pret-a-Porter and all these magazines. So fashion's always been a part of my life, especially as a professional actor and who always was modeling to, pay the bills between acting jobs. And as a result, I made friends with many fashion designers. So, I was always digging through their materials and playing with all their giant scissors and everything. So I feel like it's part of who I am. But let me ask, can you reframe the question? I just kind of got lost in listening to what people were saying, and wasn't listening for the question.
That's no problem at all. We can also just honestly, I missed looking at my watch, at my clock, and we're almost getting to the top of the hour. And I planned to, like 5, 7, 8 minutes ago, I planned to open the floor. So if anyone has questions in here or wants to participate in a conversation, please request that we can bring you up. And then maybe in the meanwhile, I try to rephrase my question.
Yes, please.
Yes, it is. I'm going to do it. It's about the topic, the impact of sustainability when it comes to AR technology. This is why I was like not 100% sure if you had a strong opinion on that, since I don't think you're coming from physical fashion. And, the fashion industry, as many of us know, is actually very wasteful right now. So, yeah, if you have an opinion.
I do know it's wasteful. It's extremely wasteful. Also, the movie industry too. We have like a whole, like, you would be surprised to see like all the clothes and everything that happens, and it's just pretty crazy. How people will buy things and just use it one time, and then it's literally trash, and then they're not allowed to give the clothing away because of the policies. So I see AR as a huge savior in the world of sustainability. I know it's terrible that they do that, but I believe that it's definitely going to be helpful, especially with 010, because a lot of times for events, I was actually laughing about this yesterday. A lot of time for events and things like that, it's really about the photo, right? So, with a lot of fashion, the fancy dresses and beautiful things that we like, we don't often have places that we can actually wear those items. And so I think that AR will really help fill in the gap for people who just literally love fashion as a passion, people who are treating fashion as like a hobby, as entertainment, because we're physical beings, we're spiritual beings in physical bodies, right? And I know that there's a reason why certain fabrics, certain colors and textures, they're for this body, and they do bring us joy. Certain colors have an effect on us. Certain textures literally can make us feel comfort instantly when we're feeling scared or sad. There are all these non physical, almost non visceral connections that interacting with materials has, but also just the aesthetics of seeing ourselves in something beautiful is also like really helpful and meaningful. One thing I noticed is that when Instagram started coming out with all their filters many years ago, there was just like so many more people taking pictures of themselves because suddenly they felt attractive. And in the same way that people who don't know how to put on makeup or not good at doing their hair felt empowered by Mira, Filter, Dreamweaver, whatever our new name is, because we're not going to use the word filter anymore. When that started being a thing, it gave people more. It made people feel more empowered to photograph themselves, and I feel like AR fashion is going to like 6,000x that, because there's a lot of people who I hear it all the time. People say they don't know how to dress, they can't dress themselves, their clothes don't fit good, etc., etc. So AR fashion, I know it's going to be so instrumental in people picking up their devices and just trying on the different things and wanting to own the items that look and feel good for them. So I think it's going to be huge. Whereas people now, like even a lot of my friends, they do fashion therapy. People are going to be doing fashion therapy, but they're going to be buying digital fashion. They'll be able to have just as much pleasure and less buyer's remorse, and they can still take the photos of themselves in it. So I really believe that it's going to be so instrumental in saving a lot of waste, especially, let me just say, especially using the technology for important things like how does this garment look on me? How does this color look on me? Those kinds of things. So I think it's going to be really helpful in terms of less waste, people buying things that they don't want. I think it's going to be really hugely helpful.
Thank you for that. Yeah, very very needed answer, I think. I just saw Izzy coming up, and she also put her question in the chat. But Izzy, would you be okay with repeating your question to everyone? And also welcome.
Hey, thank you. Happy to see you guys. I was enjoying conversation a lot, and like I want to say just my compliments to all the speakers, because the communication is also very important, and the way how you put words together in sentences is like just beautiful. Regarding the question, yes, my question literally was, how much would you price AR, not just a filter piece, on 010? Like we know that monetization is coming on the platform, and I just like feeling confused about the pricing because it's still a very complex work to do. But at the same time, there are so much AR digital clothes available online for free use. So how would you suggest to price the garments?
Oh,
You go.
I was gonna say that we might need like a whole space dedicated to this. Like, how do you price items in AR? Like, how to create luxury in AR, right? I feel like that's gonna be a great space for all of us to get into. But like, just a quick answer. Um, well, you can price it according, obviously, your name, your brand carries a value, but also like we're gonna be greatly influenced by the technology. So just by being on the 010 app, I feel like you can price it a bit higher. Like if you put it on any other apps, because well, hopefully your audience can tell the quality, right? They can tell the quality the same way you tell physical quality. You can tell the digital quality of things. It runs smoother, it runs faster, the materials look better. Like if you zoom in, they don't look pixelated. It's not all glitchy. All of these things that we can pay attention to. That's gonna create value on it. So again, I feel like we need like a dedicated space for all of this. But Maximilian, what wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think about this a lot as an artist pricing things. And I think, in terms of fashion, because I've been thinking a lot about this as well, is I think about it in terms of like, what is the item and what's the use case? I feel like, it's, at least for myself as a designer, I recognize that it's the necessity. So ever since I started, I dropped one new piece every week, and I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to try and keep that up. But also, I'm really big on tent poles, and so for my friends who don't know this yet, this word yet, but a tent pole is also a word to describe like holidays. So like Valentine's Day is a tent pole, Groundhog Day is also a tent pole. These are like, right? So I'm really focused on tent poles for my releases, because I feel like when you can give a person a reason to buy something or a reason to use something, you give them a purpose and a mission, and it kind of helps the person frame it in terms of its value. So for example, if you made a beautiful gown, and it's for Valentine's Day, right? Maybe someone might be willing to pay a little bit more for that because it's a fancy piece and it's specifically for a fancy occasion or a romantic occasion. And I think customarily we're used to paying more for Valentine's Day, Christmas. There's certain things that we're taught, wedding, that's supposed to be a little bit more expensive. On the other hand, if it was like a different type of item, like for me, right, I'm working on doing a lot of women's suits and like things, jumpsuits, like really high fashion items, because in the metaverse, where I'm wearing these things, I'm going to concerts or I'm trying to meet someone to conduct business, and I want to look my best. I don't really want to wear a hoodie, a digital hoodie, right? But so like for a suit, or for like a quote unquote mushroom leather jumpsuit, right? I'm going to equate that with like the kind of money that I would spend to go out into the world. Of course, it doesn't have to have the same price tag as a physical garment, but these like kind of high fashion pieces, I think could be a little bit more money, because I'm going to these metaverse concerts, and maybe right now metaverse concerts don't cost anything, but probably next year they will. And so it won't really be that different from the money that we spend to when we go out to like impulse buy a special outfit to go to this particular event. That's budget that we know we're going to spend, that we're going to run out to H&M or wherever your shop is, where you're going to buy something impulsively for a specific event. So that's what I'm thinking is like, maybe if we consider our items and our collections, like in terms of how they're going to be worn, it can give us some insights. And then another thing I do is I get really nosy, and I think about who the people are that I know, and I'm always starting with my friends or acquaintances, who are the people that know me, and I just go and find one of their wallets, and I'll go look and see how much they're paying for stuff, right? And then I'll price my shit accordingly. Fuck, I say they pay $50 on this, they'll definitely pay X on this. So that's my like completely lowbrow strategy at the moment. I can't wait to see, what's going to come from you, Izzy. I was looking just a little moment ago at the 010, and I saw you on there. So you and Stella both, I want to congratulate you on your drops.
Hey, thank you so much, and also thanks for the answer. About the pricing, it's like really so tricky right now because the market is not established, and also the industry is not established. Like all the designers are struggling to price their work. Like if they will receive order to create digital stuff, they don't know how to price it. Everybody are asking each other, and the same thing comes to customers. We don't know which prices to put for them, and they don't know how much they can spend on this digital clothes. So I'm happy that we're sharing these questions with wisdom people here. So I appreciate one more time opportunity to ask the question.
Ooh, I'm gonna jump in also. Yeah, because that's a very good question, and we've had like a lot of brainstorming and difficulty to identify, right? Like, what is the price? Like, how do we value ourselves? Because if you go too low, then right, there's an impression that like your work doesn't have as much value, but at least then, right, you're accessible. But if you go too high, then maybe right, no one's gonna be there to buy it. And yeah, it's unfortunate that like there's this idea of FOMO and selling out and all of that. And so I think right we try to get away from that, to have like what's an intentional way of consuming. And like you mentioned, right, there's two big difficulties in the space. Like we're still quite early, and crypto is very not consistent. Like we go from bear market to right other fluctuations that make it really hard to kind of standardize prices. And the other big issue is that we have more creators than we do collectors, at least like from my awareness of the space. And so yeah, I mean, Maximilian like touched on it. So there's kind of like the three questions, right? Like, how can you connect to your collector? How do you find them? And that kind of goes to this whole reason why we're building community, to figure out who's there, what are they looking for. And there's also, right, a different approach now that's forming from being just like an artist and producing to having it be co-created. So how do you involve that collector in the process? Like, where's the line between what you want to do and how someone else can get involved? And then the last, which like this really comes down to marketing, is like, how can you get awareness around a release? And I think, Max, when you said tentpole, I didn't know that word. So tentpole. So putting it, yeah, aligned with different events. I know like going to these conferences is just like such a big moment that drives a lot of like interaction in the space. So we were always trying to align a release with an event, either that's existing, or by like partnering with another group, to kind of combine and create an event together. I think just because if you're still like somewhat small, it's hard to kind of do something by yourself, I think, and get the eyeballs with all like the competition that is in the space. So yeah, and I like the idea of kind of doing some research like the wallet way. So yeah, we'll have to like come up with some ideas around that.
Yeah, so then I can go last on this. I actually want to say three things about it. One is I've been thinking about, even freelance pricing and what is a freelance, what is a fair freelance price for such a long time. And I think I'm not the only one who is also working freelance and not just making her own creations. And so I think we should definitely dedicate a full space. I'm happy to host another Fashion Fridays just dedicated on this topic for next week. I think we should totally do it, Izzy. This is a very good idea, honestly, because this specific spaces is dedicated to creators, right? Fashion Fridays is made for creators, for people like us, and technology providers like 010 app who can help us get exposure. But then at the other point of the side is that if you're a freelancer, you're not just a creator, right? You cannot be. I wish it would be like that. But you also have to be your own social media manager, and you have to do marketing, and you have to do entrepreneurship, and you have to do accounting, and you have to do, and the list goes on, right? And it can be at times very exhausting and very confusing to switch between all of those different things. So I think this topic, like the business side essentially of fashion, it definitely deserves its own spaces. When it comes to actually getting to the point of pricing your things, I think what Lauren said is very valuable. Like there are different value additions you can put and so on. But there should be also kind of like a formula, right? If you look at accountants, for example, accountants track their timing, and then they have just a quote, an hourly or even a minute quote, right? Lawyers have an hour quote. And then you see creators and designers who actually make all of this stuff happen. And we have quotes all over the place. So if you look at lawyers, for example, most lawyers in Europe, they call up a quote of $250, $280 per hour, like going low, right? Still going low. They're not like necessarily part of a giant firm. Why don't we have this, right? There's maybe a designer who does stuff for like 10 hours, 10 hours, $10 an hour, right? And then there's a designer who says like, oh, I cost $125 per hour, or 200 or even more. So I think this is very confusing and also opens up the market for people to come in, ask for our services, but then essentially pivot our our whole community against each other, right? Because maybe they already asked Lauren to do something, right? But Lauren maybe called up a higher price. Then they ask me, I offer it for a lower price, so I get the job. So not, first of all, not necessarily the best person for the job gets the job. And then you also get this impression of that creatives are just as good as any other bazaar. And we need to get rid of this impression, right? There should be no bidding on us and essentially getting in each other's markets, even though we don't mean to. So the question is if there is maybe a good formula for it, and you're not going to believe this, I discovered this formula. just recently. Is I didn't come up with it. It's if you go on Instagram, check out Chris Doe's page. And I was intending on taking his formula essentially and relating it more towards fashion design and fashion or digital creatives instead of graphic designers, because his is more on that side of the spectrum. And I think as a digital designer, you're covering automatically a little bit more of diverse knowledge. You have to, because otherwise digital creation gets very slim, right? You ideally substance designer, then maybe how to put stuff in Unreal Engine. You know how to model in Blender. You need to know how to model a garment in Clo, and the list goes on. So all of these things, I think they should be factored in. So I was about to actually turn this into a pricing formula and share this on my Instagram. But because of you, I will pull this up a little bit earlier than I intended to. Maximilian, one last word from you.
Yes, please. Yes, please. I think there's something so important. First of all, I want to thank you for what you're sharing, Stella, and I cannot wait to see it. But also, on the other shoulder, I have something really important to say, and it's my own super fire hot take. Okay, I'm talking like extra chili powder. I do not believe that artists of any kind should charge hourly rates for what we do, because we have so many years of experience that's baked into what we do. Now, I might create something in 10 minutes, but it took me 4,000 years of sketches to be able to do that in 10 minutes. It would be sad for someone to think that my Maximilian's 10 minutes is equal to some other person's 10 minutes, because it ain't. And so I have this issue, with charging for the hour, for the minute, because it's really never in alignment with our wisdom, skill, etc. And then there's all the other things, the invisible things that's baked into our price, like our wisdom. And for example, advising the client to use one design over the other, these other things that come from wisdom. And you can't charge hourly rates for your wisdom, because also with wisdom, also you have to have the tits. I call it the tits. Guys might say you have to have the balls. I say you have to have the tits to tell people when something's not going to work, right? You can't put a price on people that save you money by not letting you make costly mistakes. There's all these things. Where does that go on the invoice? I saved your ass. Where does that go? So I feel like for like the best thing I've seen is like pricing per project, itemizing out the things that's needed by that client, because some clients don't need a lot of handholding. Some clients do, but we have to charge them for that so we can give it to them, and we don't feel resentful about giving them the things they need. They don't feel like they're asking us for favors by telling us what they need, because it's all above board and we've all agreed upon it. So I just really am not a fan of hourly rates. Now, for some professions, it completely makes sense, like plumbers, maybe, but again, at some point, it doesn't always make sense. And especially for people like us, and we, like you say, we know all these things. I think we have to find a way that's not based on hourly, because that's really uneven, as each of our hours and minutes may not be equal.
I understand your argument, but we also need to figure out a way on how to communicate with people who don't know all of what you just said. And most people who run companies and are there to hire us, right? They usually don't understand any of this, right? They will say, "What wisdom? I also have wisdom. I have 3 grandchildren. I have wisdom."
Oh, well, we're not supposed to tell them that. You don't actually tell them that.
No. I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
Put the wisdom on the invoice.
I'm just saying, like, because they are used to such different structures, right? It might be wise to come up with something that actually is very transparent to them. My experience has been, if you share transparently where their money goes, right, and it's tangible to them, then you actually have a lot of freedom to even raise prices. Izzy, please go ahead.
Hey, like my name pronounced like Izzy, but I take it easy. And I also had some ideas about like pricing, and I'm doing experiment right now, so I'm super curious about your point of view. Basically, what I did is I'm asking designers to give their quotes. So I would be just collecting them and seeing if there is some coherence between them. And for now, what is happening is that everybody are pricing the work, based on their um, braveness or ego. I don't know how to say that. Like, there are some designers who would like price something which is not that difficult to do as a super luxury stuff. So I would say that if one customer will discover this price, probably they will be a bit hurted and they will not explore digital fashion as fast as they would do that if the price would be, I would say, more realistic and more adequate. So this is my experiment, and also to this experiment, I'm including prices of softwares which have to be calculated because we're not getting them for free. You have to pay for them, so that will be also like considered. And also, if there are any kind of marketing expenses, even if you would be working with the bloggers, how much you are spending your time with them, etc., etc. Because like if you're classical fashion brand, you would have a big margins usually, because those you need those margins to spend on marketing. Otherwise, like, you would not be selling. So I'm very curious to hear your calculations, Stella.
Yes, I think probably we should get on a call before next Fashion Fridays and come up with a joint solution. Okay, this was a really great spaces. We're definitely over time, so I really want to let everyone go and do their valuable work now. Thank you, Kalau 010, represented by Hafid, Maximilian. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you, audience and Izzy for participating. And I see you guys next Fashion Fridays. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.